In this video, I want to briefly talk about the buffs and nerfs that happened in Modern Warfare and Warzone because some of them seem to be a little odd and others almost useless. I'll go over exactly what changed and how it affects time to kill in both multiplayer and Warzone. The FAL and BRUEN both received some nerfs, while the Holger and M91 both received some buffs. I do want to pay extra attention to the FAL though, because it turns out that it might have actually had some decent buffs made as well, which seems strange to me. I'll be using the charts over at COD Gun Data to make this a little easier to understand and visualize. The current stats will be the orange line, and the purple line is the pre-patch weapon. I'll start with both the M91 and Holger buffs so we can get those out of the way. For the M91, its aim down sight speed has been reduced from 446 to 417, a 29 millisecond buff, so less than 2 frames at 60 frames per second. Still, it's a welcome buff. The next thing that was buffed on the M91 was the close range damage profile. We had a profile of 46, 34, and 31 for the head, chest, and body, and now it's at 48, 35, and 32. If you're wondering how significant this change is, well, it's not much. I checked time to kill for everything from multiplayer to 1, 2, and 3 plates in Warzone. The only thing this damage profile changes is that the M91 will take 1 less shot to kill against an enemy with 3 plates, if you hit them in the stomach or legs. This basically just matches the time to kill against 3 plates with the chest shots. Not a significant change, but it helps with consistency. This graph also shows a small nerf to the damage range, but that measurement you see there is 0.5 meters, so that's well within margin of error, so I don't think this was actually changed. Next up is the Holger. This also received a change to aim down sight speed. Previously, it was 383 milliseconds and has been reduced to 354 milliseconds. It's the exact same reduction as the M91 at 29 milliseconds. The Holger also received a few range buffs, and they aren't really anything special. The 45 meter damage range has been increased to 48 meters, and the 64 meter damage range has been increased to about 71 meters. Overall, the Holger still needs to be buffed about 10 more times before I consider using it. I don't know why they're so afraid to make the Holger worth using. Now let's talk about the BRUEN nerf. This was just a basic damage range nerf. The first damage range was reduced from 42 meters to 26 meters, and the second damage range was less severe, dropped from 65 to 56 meters. What this does is a flat reduction in time to kill across the board. Does this ruin the BRUEN? Not at all. Using the long barrels will still help, and this was always good for hitting those really long range shots out past that 64 meter range anyways. This nerf doesn't really tackle the reason the BRUEN is considered overpowered at all. Finally, we have the FAL changes. These changes are mostly a net nerf to the weapon, but some changes are just confusing. So at the outset, the damage profile of the FAL has been changed once again. The first damage range has seen a nerf to every value. This keeps it a 1-shot headshot and 2-shot to the chest in the first damage range, but reduces the base damage to a 3-shot kill for multiplayer. In Warzone, however, this change turns the base damage back from a 4-shot kill into a 6-shot kill. This was one of the biggest problems with the previous buff. It made the time to kill anywhere on the body insane in Warzone. Chest shots at this first range will drop from a 4-shot kill to a 5-shot kill. If you're looking at this chart on the screen, you might see the 2 small gaps that look as though there was also a range buff. Now, I'm not saying for certain there was, but the orange line is definitely accurate. I went back and double tested this to make sure. Previously, I was getting around 19 to 19.5 meters, but now when I tested it, I was getting 20 meters consistently. They may have just gone in there and rounded up that value to the nearest meter. The same thing goes for the 43 meter range. I was consistently getting 43 meters when I retested this range as well. The buff that concerns me is the change to headshot damage across the board. In multiplayer, there is no change to time to kill aside from that odd 1 meter anomaly, but in Warzone, the 3-shot to the head range has been extended out to 43 meters with this change. That's insane. That's quite a large buff to a weapon that people were already complaining about being overpowered. I can understand wanting to reward long-range accuracy, but this takes it a little far in my opinion. That's going to do it for all of the balancing changes in this patch. I'll see you next time.